Hi, um, just thought I'd do a little video on an introduction really to an area that we're hoping to buy. Um, it's all very positive, so we're hoping that the sale will go through. But in the meantime, we've started work just coppicing some of the hazel, which it's been stood for too many years, and a lot of it needs to come down the mature, the big boughs. You see some little groups like this one just here, which are okay. They can stay as they are for now. And just to the left of that, you see some with bigger um, branches in it, and the odd one on its own. We need to thin all that out and then let it bush out. It's proper woodland management that's needed here. It's an ancient wood denoted by, I don't know if there's any box here, some box just down there. Uh, it's got a number of names, but Butcher's Broom is its name. It has red berries on it, a little bit bigger than holly berries, and it's actually a nice Christmas decoration. I remember collecting it when I was a kid to take home, and we'd spray it gold and silver, and yeah, it's a lovely little plant. But we have lots of it around the perimeter. It's almost forming a hedge. That's why we keep slipping back into calling it box. It's not box hedging at all, but it's a rather special plant that only really grows in undisturbed ground, woodland, and mainly on the edges. But in this woodland, we got some lovely big oak. There's a couple there behind us, some massive oak. There's two bigger than these, but yeah, as you can see, they've got a lot of ivy into them. But yeah, all those, that's right on the fence line, and we're going to put a des hedge in all the way around the perimeter, and there's no end of wood to do that with, because a lot of this hazel is along the perimeter has got to come down, and so yeah, it can all contribute to building a dead hedge. We're going to mix and match it, combine it with some live hedging. So it's where you lay the hedge over, and you cut through the trunks, lay it over, trim it up, and then just build on top of it with more live. So within a season or two, you'll have that thriving hedge. So
what's a dead hedge?
the dead hedge is with dead wood. It's not. There's no live wood in it, and vice versa. With the live hedge, you don't want any dead wood in it. You only want the live wood because it's a living hedge, and it provides both forms of the hedge. Provide a lot of wildlife sanctuary, nesting sites, and whatever, all manner of creatures and insects. So it's a really good thing to do. We have a lot of holly. We're going to have to thin some of that out, or it will just take over. It's starting to propagate itself on the internal part. This is just external, so that's okay. That can stay. That's a natural barrier and nice cover as well. We don't want to open it up too much, so we're going to be selective in the trees that come down and how they come down, and yeah, how we use it too. A lot of it will be used as firewood. You don't want to build a dead hedge with just logs, so the logs will be used, and the other smaller brash, as we call it, the thinner branches, they will form the dead hedge. As you can see, we've got a lot of ivy all the way down. We've cut these paths through. There's a few more little bits that have got to come out along the route of the path to make it a nice seamless run through. This was almost naturally here anyway, so we're just utilising that. We're not going on a scorched earth policy. We're trying to do it sympathetically to nature and the environment, and for the trees as well. Some of the trees have to come out to allow others to grow to their full potential. With a lot of this hazel, it's struggling under the big trees, and it's also taking nutrients and everything from the big trees, so they're struggling too. There's no symbiosis going on there that I know of. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, they make each other struggle, and hence a lot of the hazel is actually dying. This one just here, yeah, all of those branches, those big branches there, are dead. They're all dead. You can see by the tip break-offs. So yeah, that can go as firewood. And there are a lot like that. If you look down through, it's like that all the way really. There's a lot of dead wood in amongst it. It's because it's been allowed to stand for too long. And if you allow hazel to stand for too long, this is what happens. This is the result. It starts to die back. You get a lot of new shoots coming through, but it's a valuable resource, and if you manage it properly and coppice it, then you know, you'll have a never-ending supply of firewood and sticks. We also want to make some hurdles to form barriers in certain areas, and gates out of hurdles.
What's a hurdle?
It's like a sheep fence, you know, where the willow and mainly hazel is woven around posts to create a solid fence. They use it in the farming industry for sheep fencing a lot. It's an old country skill, but that's another story. For our purposes, this wood is going to serve a multitude of purposes. Not only is somewhere nice to come and sit and spend some time to meditate, to play our shamanic drums, but also to build a shamanic sweat lodge. We want to build a swing seat. We want to build a lot of things, maybe a log cabin. Yeah, the shamanic sweat lodge is a ancient form of sauna, basically, hence the name sweat lodge. Yeah, so that's something we really want to do. Been quite taken by that idea, and hello little puddy. So yeah, it's there's a multitude of things we want to do here, as well as not really landscape it, but use what we have to landscape it, treescape it if you like. So that the beauty is already here. We're trying to expose it and then and embellish it rather than, yeah, reconstruct anything. You can't reconstruct nature. You can work with it, you can work against it. So yeah, we choose to work with it. But also we plan to get married. Well, we already are married officially, but we want a hand festing ceremony. We want to be able to invite guests that we couldn't do at our wedding because of this virus. So yeah, once we've cleared an area here, we want to plant it out with grass seed and wildflower seed, and just have a nice little area where it will look quite magical. And we have the light, enough light coming in, especially once we've taken out some of this hazel around the perimeter. That will let the light flood in. But there's a good bit of wildlife, or there used to be before we introduced cats. We have 7 cats, and the mother also joins. They all come for a walk with us around the woods. But there's a lot of wildlife in here. The nightingales nest up in here somewhere, probably in the bramble. They will find other alternative sites to nest because the bramble is going. There's one patch that we're going to leave, and I think what I'd like to do around that is put some hurdle around it, so that it's a little separate area, and anything going in or coming out would be protected a little bit more by a hurdle being around it. Yeah, we've seen buzzards and sparrowhawks flying over the wood, and yeah, there's a multitude of little warblers, and there's all sorts of woodpeckers in here.
And you talked about the sweat lodge. Can you explain a little bit about that? What's its use for?
Well, it's basically a sauna. So yeah, I'm very into the spiritual side of the Native Americans, in particular the Dakota Sioux. I have a connection there, and the sauna will be, or sweat lodge, will be by invite. If people want to come, then fine. And we're not going to build a massive one. We'll build it for like maybe 6 people or something like that. And what it entails, it has a fire pit that's built away and from the actual lodge, and with a channel going to the lodge. You heat the stones up in the fire pit, and then you transfer them by shovel to the internal pit inside the lodge, and then sprinkle water on it, and you control it by opening and shutting the obviously they used to use buffalo skins, but they're a bit scarce around here, so you know, maybe cat skins. But no, yeah, so you control the heat so that it doesn't get unbearable. So
And is that used for like shamanic?
yes, yeah, the shamanic ceremonies, you connect with the ancestors. You can do journeying and many other things. It's a very spiritual experience, and if you want to look it up, shamanic sweat lodge, then please do. It's a very interesting concept, and it's quite ancient. So yeah, that's what we intend to do. And we have a big crop of bamboo in the garden itself, which I've got some photos. I'll share some photos with you. But the actual well, we've got some willow as well, which will re-sprout because we've had to cut down some, unfortunately. The nature of the willow is it just gets older, and once it matures it lays over, and then it starts shooting from the trunk all the way along. So there's no end of that. But yeah, the hazel will do it as well, and we'll build like it's almost a flat wigwam, if you like, a teepee. So yeah, a little wooden structure, and then you lay over blankets and whatever you desire, really, just to trap the smoke in, not trap the smoke in, trap the heat in, and let the smoke out. So that's what we intend to do, and it's something I've wanted to do for around 10 years. So you know, it's about time, and I've been here for 8 years in this house, and I've coveted this wood, and you know, for that intention, for just to allow nature into the garden and allow the garden into nature. So there's a big connection that's happening, and yeah, we're thrilled to bits that we're going to get this, and we will. So yeah, we'll do regular updates and show you some of the progress. But for now, I think that's about all I can cover for now. Oh, we do have a little pond in the middle, which I'd like to get. We're going to need to get a little machine here, a little micro tractor. So I'm going to get one with a digger bucket on it, so that I can actually scoop out the pond a bit and make it a bit larger. We want to build like a marsh. How do you say it? A reed bed, so that it will filter all the water through, and the water comes out drinkable at the other end. And we've got, I don't know, 100 yards to allow this water to filter down from the pond. We can feed it down through the reed bed and other plants, of course, and they will filter out all the nutrients and all the undesirables too. And you know, basically they'll be bedded in sand, which acts as a filter as well. So there you go. That's about it for now, but we'll cover all that later on in the video, and a lot more, I'm sure. So yeah, goodbye for now, and join us on the journey.